I've been an athlete all my life, dating back to jumping over my grandfather's garden fence down in East Texas to winning all the blue medals at field day in elementary school. Middle and high school, I went from one sport to the next: volleyball, basketball, and my baby favorite, track and field. It's interesting sometimes when people see me, they'll say, "Yolanda, can you still run?" And I said, "All depends on two things: what and who's behind me." One of my greatest memories, well, let me back up. My successes in high school allowed me the opportunity to receive a full athletic scholarship to the University of Houston. While at the University of Houston, not only was I the women's team captain, I was also selected as a women's MVP one year. On the track, not only did I run the 100-meter hurdles, I also anchored the 4x100-meter relay. One of my greatest memories of running track, it was my first collegiate indoor track meet. I did well in the prelims, advanced to the finals, and guess what? I won first place, my first indoor collegiate track meet, 55-meter hurdles. Now, I don't want to date myself, but this one used to run back on the wooden boards. Because of my success, I kind of set the bar pretty high. I got invited to run in the open division. Now, if you don't know, the open division is where the professionals run. So here I am, excited. I just finished running my race, and you couldn't tell me nothing. I'm excited. I got my lane assignment. I'm in lane 5. And as you know, the announcer would call your name and your lane, and you kind of step up and wave. Lane 1. She stepped up and waved. Lane 2. Lane 3. They got to lane 4. And the stadium went dark. The next thing we know, we hear the announcer say, "In lane 4, we have the world's greatest woman athlete." And the crowd goes wild and the strobe lights go off. And it was so funny after the race, my coach laughed at me because he said I failed to just totally miss my opportunity to stand up and wave because I'm looking at her like this. I think about some of my successes that I've had in corporate, community, church, all of those characteristics, and the reason that I was so successful in those areas, I can directly point back to me being an athlete or on the track. When I think about that, I want to have a quick conversation about something that's at the heart of every successful team, and that is the power of the individual contribution. When I think about my colleagues and my teammates, I was able to be successful. It was my individual skills, gifts, and talents that allowed me the opportunity to not only stand next to, but chase the world's greatest woman athlete. Now, when I think about the track, I want to think about also the 4x100-meter relay. When I think about the relay, I think about my other teammates and how I showed up fully for my teammates on the relay, just like I did the 100-meter hurdles. And when I did that, I thought about how similar we were. Now, we all were amongst the fastest on the team. We mastered the mechanics of sprinting. We had patience and great communication skills. But guess what? I'm going to put a pin there and come right back. When I think about the relay and the dynamics of a relay, it was the baton that was our common factor that helped determine our success. It was a baton exchange that was the ultimate display of communication and collaboration. And guess what? It was a verbal command of stick that totally displayed communication. When I think about my other 3 teammates, go with me, if you will. We're outside at the stadium. Although we were very similar, we were very different from a strategic standpoint. My coach, before he assigned us a leg, he had to make a careful examination and do a careful review of each one of us individually. He had to determine who was the fastest runner, who was the best curve runner, who was the most competitive. He had to ask and answer a few questions before he placed us on our leg. Now, my first leg teammate, she mastered the mechanics of the starting blocks. Not only did she do that, she had to patiently wait in the blocks, holding the baton while she waited for the gun to go off. And when it did, she had to aggressively attack the curve, making sure she got the baton to my second leg teammate before anyone else on the field. When I think about my second leg teammate, hers was more of a physical makeup that made her a little different. Now, she was a very good and strong 200-meter runner, but she was tall and lean, and something about those long legs, she always made up some background on that backstretch. If you ever been to a track meet, you know exactly what I mean. That backstretch is usually when the crowd starts to stand up. My third leg teammate, she was another strong 200-meter runner. But think about this. She had to run her entire race just ever so perfectly all the way on a curve. Now, here I am, fourth leg. Can you imagine the thoughts and feelings and decisions I had to make as I carefully watched each teammate exchange the baton and move it around the track? Now, it all depends on who you ask. Usually the fourth leg is the fastest runner, and since it's my story, that's what I'm going with. Here I am, patiently waiting for my teammate to give me the baton. I had to make two decisions at that point. I either had to maintain the lead on the field or go get somebody, like we used to say. When I think about the 4x1 relay and even the 100-meter hurdles, I want you to understand that we are all a part of a team. We are all a part of a team, whether it's corporate, community, or church, even down to our families. We all possess very unique skills, gifts, and talents that should contribute to the success of your team. And if not, we have some decisions to make. When I think about my teammates and also the 4x1 relay, it was that individual contribution that made the difference. I know we've all heard the term, there's no I in team, but I challenge that. And we usually would hear that term when there's some ego or perhaps some selfishness was showing up on the track or on the field. Well, this isn't the case. What happens when all teammates are in proper alignment and totally supports the one goal, and that goal is winning? Are you winning on your teams? In corporate, community, and church, are you strategically placed or positioned in a way that you are fully utilizing all of your skills, gifts, and talents? We're talking about embracing change here, right? So I will leave you with this. I would ask you to go back and examine the role that you play on every team. Are you strategically positioned for success? Are you really showing up for your team in such a way that you know you're not operating at a mediocre level, but you're operating at your highest potential? Because I don't know about you, anything I put my time and attention to at this point, I want to win, and I would like for you to as well. Stick.